Welcome back to Recon by Fire, friends. For today's match, we have Regal returning to the channel, piloting his Tyranids in the Vanguard Onslaught detachment. He's bringing a Deathleaper, 3 Broodlords, all leading a squad of 10 Genestealers apiece, a winged Hive Tyrant, a winged Tyranid Prime, 10 Gargoyles, a Biovore, 2 Lictors, a Lictor, a squad of Tyranid Warriors, and 3 Exocrine. Chaos Knights are running Traitorous Lance today and are bringing a Knight Lancer, a Knight Desecrator, 2 Wardog Brigands, 2 Huntsmen, 2 Carnivores, a Great Unclean One, and a squad of Nurglings. We are running Mission Q today, which is Supply Drop. Mission rule is Rapid Escalation, and deployment is Sweeping Engagement. Tyranids are going first and have some pre-game actions. The Genestealers will get on the point. Second squad of Genestealers are going to rush the center objective. Top of round 1, and the Tyranids will draw Area Denial and Cleanse as their secondaries for the turn. Start of the movement phase, and the Genestealers roll a poor advance even with a free reroll thanks to the winged Hive Tyrant, and so they will move back behind the template. The Lictor will then move onto the point well within cover. The second squad of Genestealers will roll a 5 on their advance and push towards the Chaos Knights deployment zone. Second Lictor will advance towards the center of the field. Start of the shooting phase, and a Spore mine gets placed on the center objective. In a top level move, the Tyranids will roll a 7 on the Genestealers charge and positions them in a way where the Carnivore is unable to heroically intervene. Onto the fight phase, and the Chaos Knights will spend a command point to give the Desecrator a 6-up Feel No Pain. Genestealers will crack in, dealing 12 wounds, bring it down to just 10 remaining. Desecrator will smack back and pick up 3 of the Genestealers. That will end the turn for the Tyranids. They will score 5 points on Area Denial and 2 points for Cleanse. Bottom of round 1 for the Chaos Knights, and they will draw Bring It Down and Sabotage as their secondaries for the turn. Desecrator will succeed its leadership check. Start of the movement phase, and the Desecrator will fall back. Brigand will reposition to get line of sight on the Genestealers. Nurglings will advance forward to bait out the second squad of Genestealers. Carnivore will guarantee its charge. The Great Unclean One will get on the point and begin to sabotage. The Lancer will push forward 14 inches and prep a 10-inch charge on the Genestealers. Wardog Brigand will push forward but remain behind cover. Huntsman will come around the corner and threaten the center objective. Carnivore will catch up with the rest of its pack. Start of the shooting phase, and the nearby Brigand will fire into the Genestealers that were in combat, picking up 4 of them. Huntsman into the same squad takes down 2 more. All 4 Havoc launchers fire indirect into the Genestealers behind cover and manage to take down 1 and wound another. Carnivore rolls a solid charge and will use it to springboard to the other side of the Genestealers. Lancer fails to make a 10-inch charge and will remain in place. Huntsman makes its charge into the Spore mine. It explodes on impact, scoring a single mortal. Due to the Broodlord's invul, the Carnivore elects to sweep, managing to take down the Genestealer and leave the Broodlord at 4 wounds remaining. Broodlord will clap back, scoring 4 wounds on the Carnivore. That is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They will discard Bring It Down for a command point, and Sabotage is ongoing. Tyranids will pick up the Deathleaper for free thanks to the winged Hive Tyrant. Top of round 2 for the Tyranids, they will draw Extend Battle Lines and Secure No Man's Land as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. Thanks to the Chaos Knights detachment rule, the Broodlord still has to make a Battle Shock test, and it fails. Chaos Knights are going to capitalize on this by spending a command point on Terror Shades. This will suck 3 wounds off of the Broodlord and regenerate 3 on the Desecrator. Start of the movement phase, and the Exocrine will pop out to see the Wardog in the center. Exocrine will reposition to be able to see down both shooting lanes. Genestealers roll another short advance and will remain in place. Third squad of Genestealers will move in on the Lancer, making sure to stay out of heroic intervention range. The Lictor will challenge the center objective. Third Exocrine will arrive from strategic reserves, shooting down both lanes. Warriors are going to come in as well, prepping for a throwdown on the center objective. Broodlord is going to fall back and does succeed its desperate escape. Chaos Knights are going to spend a command point on Overwatch, and the Brigand does just enough to take it down. Start of the shooting phase, and Chaos Knights are going to spend a command point to give the Wardog on the center objective a 4-up invul. Exocrine that can only see him will fire, knocking off 6 wounds, bringing it down to just 5 remaining. Second Exocrine will fire into the same War Dog using a command reroll for free thanks to the Hive Tyrant, and it manages to take it down. The third Exocrine will fire into the Desecrator, knocking off 6 wounds. Lastly, a Spore Mine's going to come down in between the Exocrine and the approaching War Dogs. Into charges, and the Gene Stealers roll a 6, which is perfect for preventing the Great Unclean One from heroically intervening. The Lancer's 4-up invul does absolutely nothing against dev wounds, and the Gene Stealers bring it down to just 12 wounds remaining. Oof. Lancer will clap back, picking up 3 of them. That's going to end a strong turn for the Tyranids. They'll score 5 points for extending battle lines, and 5 points for secure no man's land. Chaos Knights do complete the sabotage for 3 points. Bottom of round 2, and the Chaos Knights are going to draw Cleanse and Containment as their secondaries for the turn. Tyranids decide to pop Shadows in the Warp. While the Chaos Knights attempt to hold it together, you can take this opportunity to smash that like button to help them succeed, or hit the subscribe button to help the Tyranids prevail. The Great Unclean One will succeed its leadership check and will score 5 points on primary. The Lancer will fail its leadership check and is battle shocked. Brigand is good. The Carnivore passes. Wounded Carnivore will fail. Nurglings are good. Desecrator will pass both the Shadows in the Warp and the below half Battle Shock, and the second Brigand is Battle Shock. Going into movement, and the Carnivore will rush the Exocrine. Nurglings will push forward in hopes of screening the Gene Stealers. Second Carnivore will make a move on the center objective. Brigand will move within Melter range of the Exocrine. It will set off the Spore Mine that deals a single mortal. The Great Unclean One will move to support the Lancer. Brigand will move to get just in range of the Exocrine. Huntsman will push around the corner to get the Exocrine just in range of its Melta. Deathleaper is going to rapid ingress for free behind enemy lines. Shock Lance into the Gene Stealers, and it picks up 4 of them. Brigand fires into the Exocrine, managing to only score 2 wounds. Havoc Launcher into the Gene Stealers, and it picks up 1 of them. Huntsman into the nearest Exocrine fails to score a single wound. Desecrator is up next and fires its largest cannon into the furthest Exocrine, but completely whiffs, failing to even score a single wound. Lastly, the Brigand will fire into the furthest Exocrine, actually delivering with boxcars on the damage, leaving it at just 2 wounds remaining. Both Carnivores will fire their indirect into the same Exocrine, knocking off a wound, so it will live. Charge a clock, and the Great Unclean One will just barely make it into the Gene Stealers. Carnivore cuts it close, but does make it into the Lictor. Carnivore will make its charge into the Exocrine, making sure to stay out of range of the winged Hive Tyrant. Tyranids do have the CP to interrupt, and so the Great Unclean One will swing first, managing to pick up all the Gene Stealers, but leave the Broodlord at a single wound remaining. Carnivore into the Lictor on the center objective, and it makes short work of him. Carnivore into the Exocrine, and manages to score only 3 damage. Ongoing combat, and the Broodlord into the Lancer, scoring 6 wounds. Lancer will clap back, finally taking the Broodlord down. That is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They hope to pick up a lot more anti-tank that turn, but dice tell stories. They will discard both Containment and Cleanse for a command point this turn. Top of turn 3 for the Tyranids, and they will draw Established Locus and Sabotage as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective in no man's land and will score 5 points on primary. The Exocrine in combat fails its leadership check and is battle shocked. Start of the movement phase, and the Exocrine will reposition to get line of sight. Gene Stealers will finally get a solid advance and make a move on the Brigand. Exocrine with 1 wound will move into the Ruin. Winged Hive Tyrant will fly over everyone towards the center objective. In a cheeky play, the Warriors are going to move forward and position themselves to be able to charge both War Dogs. Gargoyles will come in from deep strike and stand by. Start of the shooting phase, and the Exocrine will fire into the Lancer, knock it down to just 3 wounds remaining. Exocrine fires into the Desecrator using a command reroll and brings it down to 4 wounds remaining. Third Exocrine will rinse and repeat, leaving it at just a single wound remaining. The Biovore attempts to finish it off, but fails. Going into charges, and the Warriors will make their dual charge, splitting the squad 3 into the Carnivore, 3 into the Brigand, with the Hive Tyrant connecting the 2 for coherency. Gene Stealers will make their charge into both the Brigand and Nurglings. The winged Hive Tyrant makes its charge into the Carnivore. Start of the fight phase, and thanks to the Carnivore being battle shocked, the warriors are going to strike first. Tyranids are going to spend a command point on Surprise Assault, but the Carnivore does succeed its battle shock test. In response, Chaos Knights are going to also spend a command point for Disdain the Weak, giving it a 6-up Feel No Pain. 3 warriors crack in and manage to score 5 wounds. Second 3 absolutely pop off on the Brigand and bring it down to just 2 wounds remaining. Gene Stealers will send all their attacks into the Brigand at -1 thanks to the Nurglings and manage to score 6 wounds, bringing it down to just 6 remaining. Winged Hive Tyrant swings into the Carnivore and absolutely tears it apart. Thankfully, it does not explode. Ongoing combat, the Nurglings are going to pile in, and both them and the Brigand manage to pick up a single Gene Stealer. Carnivore will swing back into the Warriors. Knights will use a command reroll to make sure it picks up 5 of them. Models get picked up where both War Dogs are out of combat. That is going to end the turn for the Tyranids. They do score 4 points for establishing Locus, and the Chaos Knights say that they can go ahead and score Sabotage for 3 points. Bottom of round 3, and the Chaos Knights will draw Engage on All Fronts and establish Locus as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the Huntsman moves full 12 inches into the Exocrine. In order to create some decisions for the Tyranids and bait out the Overwatch, the Carnivore will position itself in between both the Winged Hive Tyrant and the Exocrine. Tyranids will react and move the Gargoyles for free, making sure they are unable to be charged through the wall. And the Warriors onto the point. Brigand will then use the open space to move as close to the center and get line of sight on all targets. The Exocrine will fire Overwatch but fails to score a single wound. With the coast now clear, the Lancer will move in on the Exocrine. Desecrator will move forward and towards the Gene Stealers to potentially set up a charge to save the Brigand. Its objective will be gone next turn, so the Great Unclean One will advance towards the center. Brigand will fire its Thermal Spear into the Winged Hive Tyrant, failing to score a wound. Its autocannon will fire into the Gene Stealers, and in a heads-up play, the Tyranids will pull Gene Stealers away from the Desecrator so it can no longer charge the unit. Desecrator will fire into the fresh Exocrine, bringing it down to 4 wounds remaining. Huntsman will open fire into the nearly dead Exocrine and manages to pick it up. Brigand fires its spear into the furthest Exocrine, managing to finish it off. Autocannon will finish off the last warrior and wound the Hive Tyrant. It's charge o'clock, and the Huntsman is going to go first since the Lancer has the free tank shock on its data sheet. It does make its charge. Chaos Knights will spend their last command point to tank shock, scoring 3 mortals on the Winged Hive Tyrant. The Brigand will make its charge onto the Hive Tyrant simply to steal away the objective. The Lancer unfortunately fails its 5-inch charge with a 3, and there's no CP reroll available, so it means the Carnivore is going to have to make its charge into the Exocrine instead of the Hive Tyrant. Start of the fight phase, and the Carnivore will swing into the Exocrine. It doesn't roll great and knocks off 4 wounds, leaving it at just 8 remaining. Brigand into the Hive Tyrant scores a single wound. Huntsman into the Winged Hive Tyrant fails to take it down, and it survives with a single wound. Time for ongoing combat, and the Broodlord and company will swing into the Brigand. It wants to live and will survive at a single wound. Brigand and the Nurglings will fight back, and sticking with the theme of today's combat, neither of them managed to pick up a single model. Winged Hive Tyrant into the Huntsman, and what do you know, it survives at 6 wounds. Exocrine into the Carnivore fails to score a single wound. Hive Tyrant into the Brigand, and it also fails to score a wound. What is going on? And that is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They will score 2 points on Engage on All Fronts and discard Established Locus for a command point. Top of round 4, and the Tyranids are going to draw Engage on All Fronts and Recover Assets as their secondaries for the turn. Tyranids are behind on primary and will select Command Insertion as their secret mission. The Alpha objective will go away, so the one objective the Tyranids are sitting on, it will score them 8 points on primary. The Tyranids owe quite a few leadership checks, and they will start off by auto-passing the Winged Hive Tyrant to make sure it doesn't die. The Broodlord is up next, and thanks to the -1, it does fail and is battle shocked. Chaos Knights are going to take this opportunity to Terror Shades and heal the Big Knight up for 2. The Exocrine succeeds, and the Hive Tyrant will fail. Start of the movement phase, the Hive Tyrant will fall back and succeeds its desperate escape. The Broodlord is up next and will try to fall back but fails its desperate escape and gets picked up. Lictor moves forward to give itself multiple targets. Gargoyles are going to push away from the action to safely recover assets. Biovore is going to step outside the building to create some problems. And the winged Hive Tyrant will fall back. Deathleaper will come in from deep strike to safely recover assets. Shooting phase, the Biovore will fire into the Brigand on the objective. It only scores 1 wound and the Knights are going to CP re-roll it so it lives. Exocrine fires into the wounded Lancer and does just enough to pick it up. Time for charges and the Biovore will make its 6-inch charge into the Carnivore with an 8. The Lictor will make its charge into the wounded Brigand. The Knights don't have the CP to heroically intervene. Hive Tyrant will make its charge back into combat. Winged Hive Tyrant will also get back into combat. No interrupt available, so the Hive Tyrant swings into the Carnivore and does just enough to pick it up. It does not explode though. Hive Tyrant will fell the Brigand on the point, which is huge for the Knights, costing them 8 points. Lictor into the Brigand and it manages to take it down, but it does explode, dealing 3 to the Nurglings. 3 to the Lictor, which will actually manage to finish it off as well. And finally 1 to the Desecrator. Carnivore doesn't want to risk a repeat of last turn and will send everything into the Exocrine, picking it up. Not a bad turn for the Tyranids. They will score 2 points on engage on all fronts for losing the Lictor, and recover assets is ongoing. Bottom of round 4 and the Chaos Knights will draw Overwhelming Force and secure No Man's Land as secondaries for the turn. They unfortunately control no objectives in No Man's Land and will score 0 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and unfortunately the Nurglings have no OC, so the Desecrator is going to move forward to touch the objective and at least secure. In an attempt to block off one of the secret missions, the Nurglings will advance backwards towards the home objective, so the Tyranids are unable to deep strike directly onto it. The Great Unclean One will not make it to the center objective this turn, so the Carnivore is going to fall back and steal the objective to ensure that the Tyranids don't score it next turn. Great Unclean One's base is too large for a good charge, so it's simply going to advance as much as it can towards the center. Start of the shooting phase, and the Desecrator will split fire, sending the massive las cannon into the Hive Tyrant on the center objective, absolutely vaporizing it, and the stubber into the winged Hive Tyrant, which manages to blink off the final wound. At the end of the turn, Tyranids are going to use Invisible Hunter to pick up the Lictor. That is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They are going to score 3 points for Overwhelming Force and the full 5 points for securing No Man's Land. Tyranids are going to complete recovering assets with 2 units for a total of 3 points. Top of round 5, and Tyranids will draw Assassination and No Prisoners as their secondaries for the turn. They control no points and will score 0 on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the Biovore is going to go after the Desecrator. Gargoyles are going to attempt to surround the Desecrator and get in on the action. Lictor will arrive at a deep strike 9 inches away from the Nurglings that puts it just off of the Knight's home objective. Gargoyles and the Biovore fire into the Desecrator, failing to score a single wound. Time to risk it for the biscuit, and the Biovore makes its charge into the Desecrator. Gargoyles will make their charge as well and surround it. Lictor goes for its charge, fails the first one. The Tyranids are going to command reroll, and it fails the second. That is huge. Start of the fight phase, Tyranids are going to spend a command point on Surprise Assault, forcing a Battle Shock test on the Desecrator. It does succeed, so they are only going to get +1 to hit. In response, Chaos Knights are going to pop Disdain for the Weak, giving the Desecrator a 6-up Feel No Pain. Gargoyles and Biovore are going to swing in and get close, but fail to take it down. It survives at a single wound. Its chain blade will clap back and slice the Biovore in half. That's going to end the turn for the Tyranids. They will hold on to Assassination just in case, but will ditch No Prisoners for a command point. Bottom of round 5, the Chaos Knights will draw Recover Assets and Defend Stronghold, which they'll recycle with new orders for Storm Hostile Objective. Pretty quick movement phase, as the Great Unclean One will move into the enemy deployment zone. Knight Desecrator will simply fall back to avoid getting destroyed. That's going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They'll score 3 points for recovering assets in 2 zones and 15 points for controlling the center objective. That is going to end the game, and the final score with paint is 56-57 in favor of the Tyranids. Thank you, Regal, so much for coming out and playing. We appreciate you, and thank you, the viewer, for watching. If you made it this far, how about you drop us a sub, as it would mean quite a bit to us. But until next time, as always, happy gaming.